SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Toyota Brookhaven services all makes and models. That could be why we were voted best service department the past 2 years. Come see why. Exit 40 Brookhaven or online at ToyotaBrookhaven.com. Great service, great savings. At Toyota Brookhaven, we deliver.
Sports. Get ready, sports fans. It's time for Chasing Foul Balls on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5 and streaming worldwide on the SuperTalk Mississippi app and on your Amazon Alexa devices. Chasing Foul Balls, your weekly source for all the sports news and interviews important to Southwest Mississippi. Chasing Foul Balls is presented by First Bank. And now, here's your host, Robbie Hamilton.
Well, good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome to Chasing Foul Balls right here on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5. To join us today, our guest will be Gene Phelps, a former resident of McComb, a retired sports writer up in North Mississippi, and the retired head baseball coach at Southern Miss, Scott Berry, will be with us. Probably had to get Scott off the boat to come join us.
Yeah, he was cutting the grass last time.
Yeah.
He ain't cutting the grass today.
No. Joining me in the studios, I reckon this is the assisted living group here with me today. To my left, Richard, Talladega. Hey, how are you?
Just fine, Robbie. Needing more assistance every day.
New name over here. We changed him from the professor.
Oh, my goodness.
To the general.
Whoa.
You did. The general, Neil Randall. How are you, sir?
Do we have to salute?
Well, you should.
Yes, sir.
I'm great, Robbie. Thanks for asking, and thanks for mentioning about my stage debut.
If y'all had seen it, hopefully they'll be putting it on the Facebook here pretty soon. You can see the acting debut of the General Robert E. Neil Randall.
Whoa.
It was a classic, Richard. I'll have to show it to you before I left. Somebody sent it to me.
Yes.
It was a classic. Let's get to work. First question, daylight savings time. You like it, or do you want to go back to the old way of alternating?
I'd just as soon leave it the way the good Lord set it up. I don't think Richard's cows change. I like this a regular time, but then I hear so many people say, let's just leave it one way or the other. So that's probably what I would go for.
Well, which way you leaving it if you go one way or the other?
Regular time.
Regular time, okay.
Yes, sir.
I agree, Robbie. I'd stay with standard time. I know that I enjoy the late evenings, and even right now the early mornings. So you get a lot more done if you're willing to get out in the soup, or the heat and humidity, as we call it down here. But other than that, I just assume. But I'll take standard time. But let's quit the fussing. Just put it one way or the other, and let's go.
I like the daylight. I would rather have daylight than dark. When it gets dark at 5 o'clock, the day seems like forever and ever, amen, to be able to get to it. But everybody has thoughts why I ask. Everybody seems to have their own way of having things done.
Yeah. I'm just glad I get to see the sun come up.
Yeah, that's the only thing I want to know.
Regardless of what time it happens.
Whatever. Question 2, Brandon Sorensby. He is supposedly now will go into the NFL supplemental draft. Guys, what happened? Did the Heat finally become too hot for Texas Tech to take, or what happened to force him to get out of the injunction that the court gave him?
Robbie, I don't know. I'm hearing all the stuff on the outside. So I'm going to say at some point in time, with the pending games and lawsuits and stuff coming down against Texas Tech, that I guess he just saw the handwriting on the wall and figured that maybe I got a better chance of somebody drafting me than I am getting to play in college.
I hadn't paid that much attention to it, but I can tell you what. Back when Jerry Graves got in trouble at Mississippi State back in 1961.
Here we go.
He'd have been gone in a New York instant. But I'm glad to see he's not going to play college football. Amen.
Well, do you really think it was Thornsby's decision? Do you think Texas Tech made the decision and finally said to him, look, this ain't going to work. Everybody's going against us. The public opinion didn't come out like we wanted to come out. So we need to do something. We'll figure out, we'll pay you some money. You go to the draft, get some more money. We'll all be happy. Texas Tech kind of looks like the good guy in this whole thing.
I think exactly right, Robbie. I think they were trying to save face in some way, shape, or form. And the best thing to do was to pat him on the back and say, let the NFL deal with this.
Cut your losses before they became more. Yeah.
Well, did y'all take a look at the new MLB draft process they're talking about that came out yesterday?
I did.
Removing high school players from the draft. College players will be eligible after their sophomore season. Shorter draft, go from 20 rounds to 12. They'll cut the bonus pool from $358.7 million down to $200 million. And they will now have an international players draft instead of everybody go get your own. What's y'all's thought?
When I first heard it all put together, Robbie, I just kind of laughed and I said, the ones that have the money want more of the money. They don't want to give it away in bonuses. They don't want to take that high school kid and have to give him $9 or $10 million right out of the chute until they know he's, can he play at this level? And they just had to figure out some way to do it, and this is what we've got.
It'll be interesting to see how this works out. But my question is, what about the kid that never did like the books too much in high school, and he really doesn't want to go to college, but he's a super athlete? What happens to him?
He can go to college now, play college baseball. They don't have to go to class.
I forget.
Yeah, I was going to say, school's been a rumor for years in the high-end athletics. Let's just face it. I mean, we're sitting here at a college institution, but let's just face it.
Go if you want to go. Don't go if you don't want to go.
I mean, they have people that take the test and go to class for them. They just have to show up and throw the football or shoot the basketball.
Do you see this as the MLB basically now shifting the burden of paying the players back to the college? So if the college players are going to get money now, he's got to go NIL to get money instead of the pros giving him all this big money to sit on the bench for the first 3, 4, 5 years. So do you see the Major League Baseball shifting the shifting the responsibility now back to colleges?
Exactly. I mean, that's they don't have to lay out their money. If he's going to get paid several million to play at Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Texas, Georgia, wherever he's going to go, well, let them prove him. Then I know my proven commodity when I draft him in 2 years, this kid can play. And now when I give him that 10 or 12 whatever $1 million contract, I feel like I can get good return on my investment because, Neil, we've seen them many times. They pay out a bunch of money, and you see them one time and never hear from them again.
Well, and the thing about it is if they get hurt while they're still in college, the pros don't have to pay for it.
Speaking of college baseball, College World Series going on. All right, who had North Carolina and Oklahoma on their card to be in the finals?
Not me.
Who'd you have?
I said in the first round, I said whoever won the Ole Miss North Carolina game and whoever won the Georgia Texas game would be in the final. So I got 1 out of 2.
Mr. Randall.
Well, I felt
General.
Thank you, sir. Private.
I
was kind of thinking Georgia, Texas, and I thought the other bracket was the weaker bracket, but I was wrong again.
Well, the thing that makes North Carolina so legit is their guy they throw out there on their first pitcher. He's he might be the top player picked in the draft coming this year, DeCaro.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he shuts everybody down, and so I had them having a chance to get there. The other side to me was the toughest bracket.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I didn't have Oklahoma coming out of it. I'm with you. I had either Texas or Georgia. So.
Yeah. Well, this is the best 2 out of 3 starting tonight. Is that correct?
Right.
Yes. Actually starts tomorrow, I think.
Is it? I thought it was
Yeah, I think it starts
Friday,
tomorrow.
Saturday, Sunday.
I heard somebody say it's morning Saturday, so anyway.
But it's those what they want to talk to Coach Berry about. It's not necessarily so once you get to the College World Series, the best team that gets to the finals. It's the hottest team.
That's why Oklahoma's there.
Because they have sure played baseball.
When they fought back and hit the walk-off home run against Georgia Tech, you could just see it starting to build. Here's the hot. There's always one hot team in the final 8. Who is it? Sometimes it is the top seed. Well, this year it's Oklahoma, and they've just been playing lights out.
The projected number of wins for the football season has come out from BetMGM. Say that real fast. We'll change it a little bit. They give the half wins. It's kind of hard to get a half a win in a season, so we're just going to round it up. Ole Miss at 7.5 wins. So if we say Ole Miss will get 8 wins, that what puts them at 8-4? Is it 12 games this year?
Yeah.
Will Ole Miss go 8-4? And will Ole Miss fans be happy if they go 8-4?
If Ole Miss goes 8-4, the fans will not be happy.
I agree with Richard, but if they go 8-4, I think that'll be a pretty darn good season, especially looking at their schedule and see who they've got to go on the road to play.
I think the talent that they've got, I would probably peg them closer to 10, depending on their schedule, as you said, Neil. But the way great quarterback coming back and a way better defense this year, I think they're primed to get more than 8 wins.
Well, I hope so, but like you said, the fans will not be happy with 8.
No.
Mississippi State's at 4.5, so if we round them up to 5, Richard, in your home backyard there, if they're 5-7, is Levy still around?
Probably not. I just think you got to. Once again, I think I said it a couple of weeks ago, guys. It's not so much. I think you got to get to 6, but who you beat and when you beat them might have more to do with it. You know, if we're right there on the 6 mark and we beat Ole Miss, then maybe you give him another year. But if we have another 4-8, 5-7 year, and it don't look good like it did last year with losing a bunch of close games, he doesn't make it through the season.
Well, I had high hopes for State last year after they got that early win. Was it Arizona?
Yes,
State?
Arizona State.
Yeah, I thought they had a chance to get 6, but like you say, they lost some close ones down the stretch and didn't make it.
One of the things going for them this year is Zach Arnett is back as our defensive coordinator, and I think that is going to be a big plus. Camario Taylor, we all know about him. It's the offensive line and the defensive lines and you know in this league, that's where it's all made and broke at right there.
The big ugly is make you or break.
Yes.
Now here's what's going to be interesting. LSU, 8.5. So if we go to 9, if LSU goes 9-3, how's Brother Kiffin hanging along with the LSU folks? Mr. Randall?
I think. This is his first year. This is honeymoon time.
But they're paying him a lot of money to honeymoon.
There ain't no honeymoon down there.
Well, I think there is in the first year. I think 9-3 he's safe, but there'll be a lot of chatting, shall we say, about how much they're paying him and what he should be doing. And of course, he can let himself overload himself.
Well. We all know that expectations and reality are 2 different things.
Absolutely.
And fans have expectations and coaches have reality for the most part. Robbie, I'd say they'll get 9. They might get 10, but I'd go with 9. I'd be okay with that. And I'm like Neil, I think that'd be a really good first season, but that's not going to satisfy the Tiger faithful.
No. 3 coaching changes to talk about. First of all, down at Southeastern, the head women's coach, Rick Freeman, gets a really great job. He moves to Texas as the associate head coach of the Texas Longhorns, moved from Southeastern Louisiana. That's quite a promotion for Rick Freeman, Richard.
Exactly, Robbie. When I saw that, I said, well, you almost knew for the last, 3 years, doing the job he had done down there at Southeastern, that one of the top end schools was gonna take him somewhere. He was going to go somewhere. I didn't think he would go to another step up school as be a head coach. He would go to be an associate head coach at a Texas or a Florida or somewhere like that that's been in the World Series several times. So not surprised at all.
Well, he has really done miracle work at Southeastern. And it wasn't too long ago. Of course, we had him here on the show not long ago, but wasn't too many years ago. He was at NAIA Belhaven and doing a great job. So congratulations, Coach Freeman.
Real quick, we won't get to discussion. We run out of time, but the other two, Chris Lamonis, got the job at Coastal Carolina, and Travis Creel, the assistant coach at Southern Miss, goes to Jacksonville State as their new head coach. So that's a look at the three real big coaching changes that took place this last week. We'll come back. We'll talk with Gene Phelps on Chasing Foul Balls right here on Super Talk Pike County 93.5. Good morning. Welcome back. Chasing Foul Balls on it's been a very wet week here in Pike County. Joining us on the phone, a former Pike County resident, sports writer for the newspaper up in gosh, Robert, I done gone blank. Northeast Mississippi. Joining us this morning, Gene Phelps. How are you, Gene?
Man, I'm doing well for an old man. How are you guys?
We older than you, so you can go from there and tell us about us. I can't even remember where you were. That's how bad I am.
Yeah, hey, well, sometimes I wonder where I am.
Let's start with, how did you get started in sports writing? You started basically here in Macomb, Pike County. How did it all get started for you? Well,
just to make a long story short here, my parents managed Delaware Garden Apartments for about 4 or 5 years, so we moved in there, and the young sports editors would come there and get an apartment. And I met Steve Sparks, and he got me to stringing for him when I was in junior high. If y'all remember Steve Sparks, he was a sports editor. And then I went to Southwest School, and Mildred Craig got me interested in journalism. She was the English professor there at Southwest, and she got me a job at the Enterprise Journal while I was going to school at Southwest, and I worked as a photographer and a sports writer, and I covered the old Cypress City board, and got a lot of experience as a young guy in the newspaper business. Went to Ole Miss and finished, and went to work in Hattiesburg for the Hattiesburg American. Rick Cleveland was the sports editor. I think he was about 24, 25 years old then, hired me. Worked there for 8 years. Got to do a lot of good things. Covered the Saints. We even covered Ole Miss and State back in those days, just besides Southern Mississippi. Back when newspapers had money. And
that was a while ago, so wasn't it?
Yeah. And then I got the sports editor's job up here in Tupelo in 1986, and was at the Daily Journal there for 32 years. I was sports editor for 24 of those. I heard John Pitts. I think John's been on y'all's show before.
Right.
He replaced me as sports editor, and I just wanted to step down from going to meetings, and my true calling was being a sports writer. And so John just let me do whatever I wanted to. I'd cover Ole Miss and State, and I covered high schools, and my last 8 years were probably my most fun in the business. And then I worked 6 years in retirement for the New Albany Gazette, covering Union County. I know y'all have heard of Ingomar.
Yeah.
They've won, I think, 4 straight girls basketball state championships, and then you got East Union has won 4 softball state championships here in a row, fast pitch. And so it's a nice little county. And then, of course, you got New Albany there, the big school in the county. And but I retired from that this year after basketball season. I said, that's enough. And I sold cars for 2 years.
Well, that's a switch there from sports to cars. How'd that go?
Well, it did okay. You know, it was right after COVID, and there wasn't a lot for us to cover. And I had hit my retirement age, my true retirement age, and I knew Dwayne Blackman. Dwayne's a Southern Miss grad, by the way, and he owns Chevrolet dealership up here. And I checked in, and he said, yeah, you can sell cars. And so I worked for 2 years. It was okay. It was good, made some money, and Uncle Sam couldn't penalize me anymore. I could still draw my Social Security and make what I wanted to.
Let's talk about some sports people you have covered or are in the sports news right now. What's your feelings on the job that Keith Carter has done at Ole Miss as their athletic director?
I think Keith's done a great job. I covered Keith when he played basketball at Ole Miss. That's how far we go back. I think he's done a good job. I think he got a real coup when he got Kiffin in there. Of course, I know it didn't end well, but it was good for the Ole Miss program. Gave him some national attention. Kind of got him back on the map. And I don't know how long they'll stay on it now, but with the strength and the NIL and all that going on, I don't know how long Ole Miss can hold on.
What's your feelings on Chris Lamonis getting the job at Coastal Carolina as their new head baseball coach after his stint there at Mississippi State?
I think guy's a good coach, and Coastal Carolina, won the World Series a few years back. I actually went to that World Series. My wife and I just went up there to go to the World Series and not be working, and we didn't see them play, but we were there the year they won the College World Series. But Lamonis will do a good job there. That's a good baseball program. They got a little tradition going now, so it'll be easy for them to get players.
What about Mike Bianco? He catches a lot of flack from the Ole Miss faithful, but somehow he just keeps putting it together, winning enough to keep the job, keep everybody. Well, I don't say keep everybody happy, but to keep enough folks happy to keep his job. What do you think about him?
Well, nobody else wants to be there more than him. I think he's done a great job. I mean, he's won a national championship. He's hosted some super regionals and gotten beat. A lot of people have been mad about that, but I covered both those super regionals against Texas and Miami, and I think both those teams went on and won the national championships that year and won both those super regionals in 3 games. So, I mean, he hasn't done a bad job. I mean, people like to complain.
No.
You win a national championship 1 year and be fired 2 years later.
You don't believe it? Ask Lamonis, huh?
Gene, this is Neil Randall, and I've always enjoyed reading your stuff. And, of course, I remember when you and Robbie were playing for the green team at Danny Nichols.
Right. Hey, I was thinking, that's something I want to talk about. I hate that Danny Nichols, I guess, has been leveled and is gone now.
Yes, sir. It's all moved to Summit.
I started there. Well, that's a great place, though, up there at what was the old mayor's name? Windsor Gray, yeah.
General.
I remember playing for Warren Shank down there in
the farm clinic.
In the farm clinic. I was on the Pirates and I was on the Mets.
Yeah.
And Craig Quinn, I think. I don't know if Craig's still alive. Craig Quinn and Art Nelson were coaches in Farm Clinic those 2 years I played Farm Clinic.
Craig passed away last year over in Laurel, but I remember Mr. Shank telling all the mamas and the boys, let those boys throw those sock balls in the house, and those mothers would scream.
I'm going to tell y'all something. Y'all talk about, you've seen the stories about men playing women's sports and things. I did a story when I was working for the Enterprise Journal. I was in college, and they had a regional or district baseball tournament, Dixie baseball tournament was in Macomb, and Tylertown had a girl who played second base, and she was a pitcher. Yeah. So I went out and did a story on her. Shot a picture of her with her ponytail in the dugout, interviewed some of her teammates and the coach, and one of them was her father.
Yep.
And Warren Shank came down to the paper the next day, and he told me I was going to turn all them boys into sissies. Right next door.
Gene, I've got some Warren Shank stories that I can't tell on the air, but I'll share with you later.
That'd be fun.
Gene, I always say that Dixie baseball and Macomb, you always knew who the better players were when we were playing, because they were the ones that had all the letters on the front of their shirt.
There you go.
You know, he always looked and saw if that guy had all his letters, he could play. Now, the guy that only had part letters because they done washed off, he was just hanging in there, so you didn't have to worry much about him.
But I always liked the name of your show, Chasing Foul Balls. I know Bill Brumfield wrote one day, the late Bill Brumfield now, on Facebook, and something was brought up about the Dixie's Ballpark and everything, and somebody said nobody will beat Randy Hammonds in Chasing Foul Balls, and he said he probably had a collection of about 1,000. You weren't going to beat Randy.
Gene, this is Richard Hay. We could do a whole couple of shows on Macomb-Dixie Youth and Summit Dixie Youth baseball. My boys were a part of it too, and many great memories. And then I sit with these two every Friday, and I hear all the stories about it. So, my question is, for all your years in the sports writing world, covering sports, what's one or two of the things today that you would wish you had access to, and what are a couple of things that maybe nowadays you shake your head and say, no, that ain't any better than what I was doing it?
No, I wish we'd had access to the internet and things like that. I mean, we didn't have that back in the day. I started out with a portable typewriter and wound up typing on my laptop in a car and sending my story over my phone in like a second. You know, that's how the technology changed in my 48 years, 50 years. That and I think one thing that was the better for us back in my day was we had access to the players and coaches. I used to have Jackie Sherrill's home phone number, his own personal phone, Billy Brewer's. Nowadays, the writers don't get that kind of access. You got to be SEC Network or ESPN or The Athletic or somebody to be able to get numbers and get access to players and coaches. We used to be able to go in the dressing rooms after games. Not that I didn't like walking over equipment and all that kind of stuff and interviewing half-naked men and stuff, but we just had a lot more access. Of course, today's writers, there's not as many. It's mostly, and it's going to be, it's a radio, podcast, TV-driven media nowadays, and it'll always stay that way.
Gene, Neil again. Do you think that baseball has surpassed basketball into second place behind football in the state of Mississippi?
You talking about just college, high school?
College, yes, sir. College.
Oh, yeah. I think baseball has because of the success at Southern Miss and Ole Miss and Mississippi State. I really do. And, of course, it's always been successful and probably the number one sport at Mississippi State. I think football will always be king, but basketball, I would think, would be in third place, yeah.
Gene, this is Richard once again.
Yeah.
Talking about that, I think sports coverage in Mississippi and maybe other states across the South and the country, it's the local rivalries, whether it's Friday night football or that Saturday night basketball, Bassfield Apprentice, you can name them better well than I can. I think that's what made it, and I think if you were able to do that every Friday night or Saturday night, I think that would just have to be the epitome of what a sports writer, because you're touching local people. And those are some of the best football games I've ever went to. Find one off somewhere, two rival teams, and just go as a fan and watch it, and it's still great.
Oh, absolutely. And high school football is king up here. A lot of folks argue that it's basketball, but you can put more people in the football stadium. Now, they do pack the gym at Ingomar for basketball. And I covered Ingomar years ago, all those schools that didn't play football got to start their seasons early in basketball. So about 5 weeks into football season, I had to make sure we had call takers inside the paper to take the basketball scores from Ingomar and Myrtle and some of those people. They were already cranking it up. And one Friday night as a twist, that was the opening night of high school basketball. I covered a high school basketball game on the 5th Friday night of high school football season. I was at a basketball game, and nobody complained. Nobody complained.
Favorite players that you covered?
Favorite players?
Yes, sir.
The Kirk Presley kid up there was a good one. Tupelo High pitcher that was drafted by the Mets. He had arm problems though and never made it. Was really a nice kid to cover. Wow. He'd have to be right up there. I enjoyed covering John 4K. Y'all remember John playing at Ole Miss and played for the Saints? I covered him some when like I said, we covered Ole Miss and Mississippi State when I worked for the Hattiesburg newspaper. And John was a fun guy to cover, and he always had something to say. I enjoyed working with him. I later covered him in indoor football up here. We had the Tupelo Fire Ants of the National Indoor Football League. I also covered, and y'all need to get Will Hall, the Tulane coach, on y'all's show, and I covered him. He was the quarterback, and his daddy was the coach. Bobby was the coach of the Fire Ants one year, and Will was the quarterback.
My goodness.
So Tupelo Fire Ants.
Gene, Neil again.
Yeah.
If you've had a great career, obviously, what would be your advice to a young man, say in high school, thinking about a career in sports writing? What would you tell him?
I would tell him, look into the multimedia aspect of it. Be able to do some broadcasting and podcasting along with doing the writing, because that's going to be the way to go. That's what they want from you. And, and there's not a lot of papers anymore. There's a lot of, the still big dailies are doing okay, but some of the smaller papers, the Hattiesburg American's they don't even have a sports writer, I don't think. The Pine Belt News, which is owned by the Emmerichs, I believe, who own the Enterprise Journal and a number of other papers, are the only really school papers that cover that. But, just be multifaceted in media. Be able to, put your face out there. If you can, if you're ugly like me, it's best that you stay
do radio
in the black and white print, but or do radio. But yeah, I mean it's competitive out there still. A lot of kids want to go into it, but I don't know if they want to put in the time and effort that it takes to cover like we did.
BetMGM has put their numbers out, projected wins for the football season this coming year. They say for Ole Miss 7.5. Will 8 wins do it for Ole Miss? Will that keep the faithful happy?
I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking and predicting. Somebody was writing something. I rarely post anything, and I'm not that kind of person. But they were writing about Ole Miss and having Chambliss back and everything. I said, well, I think they're gonna go 8-4 and go to the Gator Bowl.
That's always a safe bet for Ole Miss.
and Mississippi State, I don't know what's going to happen to Mississippi State. They're going to have to win some games, or they're going to probably let that guy go.
They say 4.5 for Mississippi State. Is that enough for Levy to keep his job?
I don't know. Some of those 4.5 needs to be one of them needs to be some kind of upset. And I know he had one last year. I believe they beat Arizona State, but somebody in the conference. They beat somebody big in the conference.
Gene, this is Richard once again.
Yeah.
Real quickly, I know we're probably getting short on time, but give me your take on this overall thing about the NIL and the portal. Thinking back about the days, and I always go back to Ed O'Bannon and him wanting money because they used his likeness in a sports game,
right? And
they denied it. And we fast forward to now, but what's your take on the whole? And how if you were up there at the Senate meeting, what would your interjection about how to cure it?
Well, how to cure it is what it should have been. We let it go crazy, and we didn't have enough rules and things. I mean, you've got to set up. You can't be paying. I don't think you need to be paying players $4.5–5 million. That wasn't the idea. The idea was probably pay somebody $50,000 a year if you were good, or $60,000 or something. I mean, you can pay me that. I'll be your quarterback. You ain't got to give me $4 million. I mean, I just think we need to set some boundaries on what's the money being paid out. And I'm okay with some $1 million players or something like that, but I mean, come on, good grief! It's gotten out of hand. Being able to transfer and play 1 year for one team, another year for another team, and I don't know. There's no loyalty anymore. Kids used to go to school because they wanted to go there. and actually play there.
Nowadays, if you're a sports writer, you got to have a roster every year, don't you, to know who's on that team?
Oh, absolutely. And now they're moving around in high schools.
Yeah, we've had our share of that lately. Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Yeah. Didn't the Park Lane player, is he going to Oxford to play?
Yeah, we got a South Pike player going to Park Lane, and we got a West Lincoln softball player going to Park Lane. And
We got one going to the Baylor School up
yeah,
in
we got one from the South Pike going to the Baylor School in Nashville.
Yeah. I messed my knee up my senior year in football, missed 3 games. The way I look at it, I got 3 years of eligibility. I'd like to play on your show today. But I'm going to play. I'd like to play. I'm going to sign with Park Lane Academy this year.
Not personal, but if you're like me, Gene, I don't know necessarily. I want to see you out there trying to play against them high school kids.
No, they'd kill me. I need a hip replacement and back surgery, so I don't think I'd be any good.
I tell you what, me and you ought to get in. We could go one-on-one then, see who can win.
There you go.
Thanks for being with us this morning. We sure appreciate the time you took to be with us and talk about old happenings here in Southwest Mississippi.
Yeah, we ought to do it, a Danny Nichols show one day.
We will. When we get it, we'll get you back. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks, Robbie, guys, Neil. See y'all. Richard.
Coming up, we'll talk to the former head coach of Southern Miss Golden Eagle Baseball, Scott Berry, right after this. Friday morning to you. Chasing foul ball right here on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5. Still much fun talking to Gene, catching up on. Gene's one of those guys that he goes from, I reckon I'm going to say my time to present, that you could talk anywhere in between, and he knows something about.
A Macomb lad who made good.
Tremendous sports wealth knowledge of the state of Mississippi for, like Robbie said, probably over a half a century. And that's just, and those of us that love sports, and we love it locally first, you could talk to those kind of people like Gene for hours and be entertained, at least I could.
We're trying to connect right now with Scott Berry to get him back on with us. Let's see what we got here to talk about while we get that done. ESPN College preseason top 25 football. Want to take a whirl at it, Richard?
Ohio State.
Ohio State would probably be my choice.
Yeah, I think so too.
Ohio State's one. Who's two?
Georgia.
Where is Notre Dame in there?
Notre Dame's 4. Oregon's 2.
Okay.
Georgia 3.
Okay.
Notre Dame 4. Texas 5. Ole Miss is 8.
Wow.
LSU is 10.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Kind of surprised those numbers?
Not really. I probably would have had somewhat the same teams, might have had it in a different spot. I knew Texas was going to be up there, but
always.
Yeah. So.
Join us on the phone, the retired head baseball coach at Southern Miss, Coach Scott Berry. How are you, Coach?
We're doing good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, man, we just sitting here talking about the world. How's things your way?
Couldn't be any better. I'll tell you what, about the only stress I have in my life right now is my golf game, and with all this wet weather, it's added more stress because now it's cart path only for probably another week.
Now you're having to walk. We can't have that for you. You got to be able to ride that cart right up to the ball, don't you?
Well, I do have an option of not playing, so I don't have to play.
No, you don't have that option. No. You've got to play with the guys, no doubt about it. First question, College World Series. Do you have a favorite memory from your trip to the College World Series with Southern Miss?
Well, I just think it was the whole experience. Honestly, the Troy team this year kind of reminded me a lot of that 09 team that we had at Southern Miss and the run that we went on. The regular season didn't really go like we wanted to, and we got hot there late, particularly in the conference tournament, and got beat out in the championship by Rice that year. But we're able to get into a regional and go through Georgia Tech and super regional at Florida, and just ending up at the end of the season being one of the 8 teams left standing out of 300 in the old Rosenblatt Stadium. So just that whole experience was something that you'll cherish for a lifetime.
Now I want to confirm this story that when Cokie Palmer recruited you to become assistant coach at Southern Miss, the deciding factor was that he said he would give you all the chewing tobacco you could chew. Is that true?
That is 100% true. I was, of course, I don't chew anymore. I quit in 2007, but I was one of those guys that was daylight to dark and chewing tobacco. And so, yeah, we kind of. He told me if I could get what you were making at Meridian, would you come? And, I said, yeah, there's a real strong possibility. And so he got it. He met with Mr. Giannini, and he got it and came back and said, well, I got it, boy. You coming? And I said, it was tough because we had it rolling at Meridian, and it was a tough place to really give up. There was a lot of hard work that went in there for 10 years. But when he said, doggone it, boy, I'll give you all the free chewing tobacco you can chew. And I was like, are you serious? And he was like, yeah, I've got a guy that gives me free chewing tobacco. You don't have to ever buy it again. And at that time it was about $3.25 a pack. It was starting to go on that rise. And I went to Laura, my wife, and I said, we're leaving. I didn't tell her what the incentive was for leaving, but we're leaving. So it was a great move on our part.
Coach Berry, thank you for taking the time to be with us. I was reminded this morning, maybe the last time we had you were cutting grass, but you cut the mower off and just sat on it while you chatted with us. But I got a question for you, not about athletics, but I understand that maybe at one time that you had a dog that had an unusual name. Can you share some of that with us?
I don't know. I can't. Honestly, I really.
Let me try to help you.
Okay.
Omaha?
Oh, no, that was a cat.
A cat?
That was
my bad.
No, it was a cat. So at that time, my wife she was working at Pearl River Community College, and she retired there after 17 years. And so anyway, in 2009, there was a coworker down there that had a litter of cats. And of course, she's like Ellen Mae Clampett. I mean, anything that runs through our yard, she's going to try to get it to stay here. And so anyway, she came home with a little cat, and since we were going to Omaha, she said, we're naming this cat Omaha. So that was the name of the cat. Sure was.
What a story. Thanks, Coach.
Well, the last time we talked, of course, our good friend Wes was on there, and Reese. I'm sorry, Reese.
Yeah.
And God, dog, miss him, and I know you guys do too. So,
absolutely.
But
Coach Berry, this is Richard. Hey, with so many different directions we can go, and congratulations on enjoying golf now. When you sit back and watch the college game today, and what you and Coach Palmer did back in the days as far as recruiting goes, and how you had to go out and actually watch games and stuff, and you look at it today, what are some things you take either way? I wish we could have had that, but boy, they sure miss this because they don't go do that.
Well, recruiting's totally different, obviously, and it's going to change. There's a new rule that came out yesterday, or that they're proposing to do, so that's going to even change the landscape of college athletics, and particularly baseball, I should say, more than anything. But there's a lot of the recruiting now is on video. I mean, there's access to anything and analytics that you want to know about a kid. There's not as much people that go out per se and go to tournaments like there once was. So those days have changed a little bit. But You watch the game today, and certainly there's some things that we've improved on, but I think, honestly, when you look at the big picture of what we're supposed to be in it for as coaches, we've kind of gone backwards in it. And, that kind of tells me that I got out at the right time. I talk to a lot of head coaches still, and they all have one thing to say: boy, you got out at the right time. And I hate that I did. I enjoyed the 39 years that I was in the game of baseball, and owe it a lot to a lot of people who invested in my life. Matter of fact, yesterday I got a call from my old junior college coach, and hard to believe that he's 78 years old, but we had such a great conversation. And we talked about the changes in the game. And, of course, I told him, I said, if you were still coaching today, you wouldn't have a job. The stuff that you did, there's no way you could get away with. But I said, I'm not saying that I don't agree with it. I agreed. Those are the best 2 years I had, and you made me a man as well as a bunch of other people. But you don't get away with those things today, and I'm glad you did back then.
Well, Coach, you can look at video. You can have somebody, and I can remember some of the players on your team, and just for one, Nick Sandlin comes to mind right off the bat, that just had grit and heart, that just took the baseball and, seventh inning, he's done pitched however, and he just got it done. How do you feel that looking at videos and having to make decisions when you don't really know what the young man's made of inside?
Well, it's a lot of times you don't have time to make those decisions and invest in that sort of thing. So much of this recruiting today, particularly the portal world, is spent talking with advisors or what other people call agents. But until they sign, they're advisors, and advisors are shopping their clients around, trying to find the best fit, trying to find the best or the most money. This is what you need. So. Yeah, it's everything has changed with it. It's not that you still don't do your background and try to talk to coaches that have had them, and particularly people that you've had relationships that know you and you know them, and they'll shoot you straight. But everybody's trying to get the best fit, but unfortunately, a lot of times there's just not time on your side to get that done.
What do you think about Travis Grill getting the job?
Oh, I think that's just the greatest thing. I congratulated him. He called me on Sunday night before it broke to let me know that he had gotten that job. Of course, Travis played for us back. He was a redshirt on the 09 team to Omaha, but then when I took over, he was a 4-year starter for me. Always had a great baseball mind, high IQ of the game. Of course, he came and started coaching with us in 2019, and certainly did not get the notoriety that he deserved. I can tell you that, because he did some great things for us on the recruiting side, bringing in some high caliber players that not only could play but were good fits for us, and great young men, but did an outstanding job as a field coach, and I couldn't be more proud. He deserved this. This was his time, and that's what I told Greg Sykes when I talked to him Sunday. And I told him, I said, he's ready. I can assure you. So.
You played in CUSA and Sunbelt. Was there any difference baseball between the CUSA League and Sunbelt? Well,
it depends on what era. In the earlier days, back when East Carolina, Tulane, Houston, Central Florida, all those teams were in Conference USA, let me tell you, that was as strong as you can get. As a matter of fact, Lane Burroughs and I were talking the other day, the head coach at La Tech that we had at Meridian as a player, and then he and I were assistants under Coach Palmer together. And we talked quite often, but we started going through some of those players that played in that old Conference USA, and those are names that have been on the big league level, and there was that is probably one of the toughest leagues there was. That wasn't one of the powers at that time, but we were always getting 4 or 5 teams in a tournament each year with that. So Sunbelt's a good league. a really good league. I don't think it's as strong as it was when the old Conference USA was around. When the new Conference USA shifted, everything kind of got watered down a little bit. But regardless, Sunbelt is a good league. But back in the earlier days of Conference USA, that was a strong baseball league.
Coach, thanks for joining us this morning, and we appreciate your time.
Guys, appreciate it very much.
Coach Scott Berry, retired head coach of the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. Let me get a couple things in before we have to get out of here. First of all, we got something new now. You have YouTube for Chasing Foul Balls. You can still go to Amazon, Apple, or Spotify, but you can also now go to YouTube and just search for Chasing Foul Balls. Next 2 weeks we'll be out. Next week is our vacation week, and in 2 weeks it'll be 4th of July. We won't be in for that one. So 2 weeks off, but we'll rejoin you on the 10th of July. We'll be back with you. Guys, a fun morning.
Always good with the legends of the games that we've said before that we had on today.
Well, Scott Berry is a legend, and Gene Phelps is also a legend, and he's a local legend.
Don't turn out the lights, guys. The party ain't over. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Everybody's looking for romance. I just want a little time to dance. And tomorrow we can sleep all day. Before the night we'll let the music play. Remember how it used to be. I love the way that you would dance with me. Rocking and rolling till the clock unwinds. And then we holler out one more time. Don't turn out the lights, the party ain't over. Well, the band just started to play my favorite song. I just found my baby and I want to get a chance to hold her. So don't turn out the lights, the party ain't over. I said don't turn out the lights. Don't turn out those lights. Don't turn out the lights, the party ain't over.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.